What if I told you that $5,000, half of what most people spend on a wedding, creates a neurological shift so powerful that it separates people who accidentally save money from people who systematically build wealth? What if I told you this specific number unlocks a psychological mechanism that researchers call the momentum threshold, and crossing it means you'll likely never be broke again? Most people think 5,000 is just a bigger emergency fund than 1,000, like going from a small cushion to a medium one. But that's like saying a rocket launch is just a really fast car ride. You're missing the entire transformation that makes it possible. I'm Jade, and I spend an uncomfortable amount of time studying why $5,000 isn't just 5 times better than $1,000. It's a completely different category of psychological transformation that researchers call the freedom threshold, and why people who cross it develop what neuroscientists call wealth-building autopilot. If you want to understand why this specific number changes your relationship with risk, opportunity, and time, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up changing how you think about this milestone. The changes that happen aren't what you'd expect, and some of them are actually dangerous if you're not ready. The non-linear leap. Here's the first thing you need to understand, and it's going to sound impossible until I show you the research. $5,000 is not 5 times better than $1,000. It's exponentially better. And the difference is so significant that it might as well be a completely different substance. $1,000 is survival mode with some anxiety reduction. $5,000 is strategic mode with opportunity vision. This isn't addition. This is multiplication of your psychological capabilities. Something happens in your brain chemistry at this threshold that neuroscientists have actually measured. At $1,000 saved, your amygdala, the fear center that evolved to keep you alive when predators were chasing you, is still firing when you think about money. At $5,000, your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for strategic planning and long-term thinking, takes over completely. University of Princeton researchers found that financial scarcity reduces cognitive capacity by 13 IQ points. At $5,000, you've crossed the threshold where that effect disappears entirely. Your brain literally gets smarter because you have money in the bank. Cortisol levels drop by 60% between the $1,000 and $5,000 thresholds. Sleep quality improves because your REM cycles normalize instead of being interrupted by financial anxiety. Decision-making speed increases by 40% because you're not wasting mental energy on constant threat assessment. Your nervous system stops treating money as a survival threat and starts seeing it as a tool you can use to build the life you actually want. But here's where this gets really interesting. The time horizon shift that happens at $5,000 is the prerequisite for everything else that follows. Before $5,000, your brain is asking, can I survive this month? After $5,000, your brain starts asking, what can I build this quarter, this year, maybe even this decade? You've unlocked temporal flexibility, which means you can finally think more than 30 days into the future. You can't build wealth if your brain can only see 1 month ahead, because wealth building requires decisions today that pay off years from now. A job opportunity requiring a $400 certification and a temporary pay cut for 2 months during transition comes up. At $1,000 saved, this is impossible. You can't afford both the buffer loss and the investment. At $5,000, this becomes calculable risk. You run the return on investment math instead of automatic no. That certification might increase your earning potential by $10,000 annually for the rest of your career, but you need the buffer to even consider it. The compound interest realization at this level is where the math becomes visceral. $1,000 earning 8% annually generates $80 a year. You don't feel that. $5,000 at 8% generates $400 a year, $33 appearing every month without you doing anything. This is when compound interest stops being theory and becomes reality you can feel. Your brain makes a connection it couldn't before. If 5,000 generates 400, what could 50,000 generate? Suddenly, wealth building seems possible instead of just stable, and that shift in what you believe is achievable changes everything about your decisions going forward. The dual fund unlock. Let me explain something nobody talks about because it sounds like semantics until you experience it. $1,000 is an emergency fund. $5,000 is an emergency fund plus an opportunity fund, and that distinction is everything. At $1,000, you're purely defensive. At $5,000, you can handle disasters and say yes to opportunities simultaneously, and that dual capability separates people who tread water from people who swim forward. Your car needs an $800 repair. That same week, a job opportunity requires a $400 certification to qualify. At $1,000, you choose between crisis and opportunity. You fixed the car because you need to get to work and you missed the career advancement. At $5,000, you handle both. Crisis solved, opportunity seized, 3,800 still buffered. This is the first time you can say yes to opportunity while handling disaster. The career confidence at this level has to be experienced to understand. 2 to 3 months of expenses covered means you have options money. Not enough to dramatically quit, but enough to know you could walk away if needed. That knowledge changes everything about how you show up at work. You negotiate salary instead of accepting offers, averaging 12% higher compensation. You set boundaries on unpaid overtime, reclaiming 5 to 10 hours weekly. You consider lateral moves that pay less now but position better later. You apply for stretch roles instead of only safe positions. Here's what's wild about the negotiation dynamic. Before 5,000, you need this job. That desperate energy is visible to hiring managers even if you think you're hiding it. After 5,000, you'd like this job. That confidence is equally visible. Hiring managers can smell desperation, and $5,000 eliminates that scent entirely. The difference in your negotiating position is worth thousands annually, compounding over your entire career. Investment psychology activates at 5,000 in ways impossible at 1,000. At 1,000, investing feels irresponsible because what if you need this money? At 5,000, you have buffer and investment capital separated. You can afford calculated risks without gambling your survival. Market drops stop being disasters and become opportunities. You can dollar cost average through downturns, which is exactly how wealthy people build wealth. Your time horizon extends from months to years, and that's when real wealth-building mechanics start working. This is where you start acting like wealthy people act because you finally have the cushion they have. Rich people buy stocks during crashes when everyone else panics. They hold through volatility because they're not forced to sell. They invest in skills that take time to pay off. They take strategic career risks. Warren Buffett says, "Be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful." At $0 to $1,000, that's impossible because fear dominates. At $5,000, it finally becomes possible because your buffer creates courage. The $5,000 trap. But let me tell you something financial gurus conveniently leave out of their motivational content. Hitting $5,000 can actually destroy everything you've built if you're not prepared for what happens next. This is the most dangerous moment in your entire savings journey, and most people don't see it coming. $1,000 feels fragile, so you protect it. $5,000 feels substantial. Your brain, operating in scarcity mode for months or years, sees that balance and thinks mission accomplished. Time to celebrate. This is where most people sabotage years of discipline in a few months. You've been denying yourself, working extra hours, saying no to social events, all to reach this milestone. Now you've got it. Don't you deserve to reward yourself? The rationalization trap is seductive because the logic sounds completely reasonable. You worked hard to save this money. You do deserve to enjoy life. You can always save it again now that you've proven you can do it. All of those statements are true, and all of them will keep you stuck forever if you act on them. Lifestyle inflation at 5,000 doesn't look like small treats. It looks like big deserved purchases. A $2,000 vacation because you've been so disciplined. $1,500 furniture upgrade because your place should reflect your progress. $800 wardrobe refresh because you need professional clothes. 3 deserved purchases and you're back to $700. You're now worse off than at 1,000, psychologically defeated. The social pressure amplifies dramatically at 5,000 in ways it didn't at 1,000. People sense when you have money even if you never tell them. Loan requests increase, expectations shift. You're the one who has it together now, which means friends assume different bill-splitting arrangements. Family members hint at needing help. Your progress is now visible, and visibility creates complications you didn't navigate before. The guilt manifestation catches people off guard. You notice others struggling and suddenly feel like you're hoarding resources while people suffer. You downplay your situation to avoid seeming rich. You make bad financial decisions, loans that never get repaid, picking up checks constantly just to avoid feeling selfish. The truth is, your success doesn't take anything away from anyone else. When you're financially stable, you're not a burden on anyone. You're not asking friends for loans or relying on family for support. You become part of the solution, but guilt makes you think otherwise. Your reference group shifts at 5,000 in brutal ways. At 1,000, you compared yourself to people at 0 and felt good about progress. At 5,000, you suddenly compare yourself to people at 50,000 and feel behind again. Social media amplifies this. You see someone's 20,000 savings post and your 5,000 feels small. The algorithm shows you people ahead because engagement equals envy. And platforms profit from your inadequacy. The goalpost moves faster than your progress, and you need to stop chasing it. The people who successfully navigate past 5,000 share one trait. They understand 5,000 isn't the destination. It's the launchpad. This is where the real game begins, not where it ends. The identity metamorphosis. Here's what people miss about saving $5,000 from zero. This isn't luck or high income. Plenty of six-figure earners have zero saved. This required months or years of sustained discipline. You developed financial muscles most people never build. Your dopamine system got rewired to find satisfaction in watching numbers grow instead of buying things. You understand the difference between wants and needs on a visceral level, not just intellectually. You've built automated behavior that runs without constant willpower. You can sacrifice today for a better tomorrow. These aren't small changes. This is fundamental neurological rewiring affecting decision-making in every life area. The confidence cascade extends way beyond your bank account. Your work behavior changes in ways you might not consciously notice. You're more assertive in meetings because you're not operating from desperation. You set better boundaries around time and energy because you're not terrified of losing this specific job. In relationships, you have less tolerance for financial toxicity because you've worked too hard to let someone else destroy your stability. You can afford preventive health care, so doctor visits and therapy and gym memberships stop being luxuries and become maintenance. You choose social activities based on what you want instead of just what you can afford. People notice you carry yourself differently, even when you never mention money. Not arrogant, just less anxious. Research shows people with savings have more open posture, better eye contact, and calmer speech patterns. Financial security is visible in your body language before you say a word. This quiet confidence isn't something you can fake. It's built on actual security. Your behavior influences everyone around you without you trying. Friends start asking how you did it. You're changing the financial culture of your entire social circle just by being an example of what's possible. You're living proof that building savings works, especially powerful if you started from zero recently. People need to see it's possible before they believe they can do it. The practical advantage stack. But here's something that might surprise you. The practical advantages at 5,000 aren't just psychological. There are actual financial mechanics that unlock, and they save you thousands over time. You can pay annual subscriptions upfront instead of monthly, typically saving 12 to 20%. You can meet minimum balances for fee waivers. You can take advantage of cash discounts requiring immediate full payment. You're literally saving money by having money to spend strategically. A gym membership costs $50 monthly, $600 annually, or $400 paid upfront. That's a 33% savings. At $1,000, you can't afford the $400 lump sum. At $5,000, it saves you $200 annually forever. Your credit score accelerates once you have savings. You pay credit cards in full, dropping your utilization ratio. Your buffer prevents missed payments even when life gets chaotic. You can diversify credit types. A 50-point score increase saves $30,000 over a lifetime through better mortgage rates. This invisible benefit is worth more than the $5,000 itself. The bulk buying advantage lets you escape what economists call the poverty tax. You can buy 6-month supplies when items go on sale. You can invest in quality that lasts longer instead of cheap items needing constant replacement. The classic example is boots. $200 boots lasting 5 years versus $50 boots lasting 1 year. 5-year cost is $200 versus $250 plus for replacement hassles. Small quantities cost more per unit. Credit card interest accumulates on necessities. Late fees pile up juggling bills. Overdraft fees hit from miscalculations. You stop paying extra for being broke. Emergency situations transform from catastrophic spirals into manageable setbacks. A $1,200 emergency room visit gets handled without debt. An $1,800 car transmission gets fixed instead of becoming a job-losing disaster. Job loss gives you 2 to 3 months to find the right opportunity instead of desperately accepting anything. Unexpected family emergency travel becomes possible instead of choosing between being there and staying financially afloat. Less stress means better sleep, which means better decisions, which means more income. Financial stability creates a virtuous cycle accelerating everything. The wealth-building foundation. Here's what most people don't realize about the progression of savings milestones, and this is going to change how you see the entire journey. 0 to 1,000 proves you can save. That's the hardest psychologically because you're breaking the identity of someone who's always broke. 1,000 to 5,000 builds the foundation. That's the hardest logistically because you're maintaining discipline through chaos. 5,000 and beyond is where exponential growth becomes possible because the math takes over and does heavy lifting instead of you doing all the work. Growth speeds up after 5,000 for several reasons hitting simultaneously. Investment returns become significant enough to notice. $400 to $500 appearing annually changes your perception of what's possible. You can pursue multiple income streams because you've got buffer to handle startup costs and initial uncertainty. Your savings rate increases because you're not starting from zero every month after emergencies. Going from 5,000 to 10,000 happens faster than 0 to 5,000 because systems and momentum and identity are already built. Average person takes 18 to 24 months to go from 0 to 5,000. That same person takes 12 to 15 months to go from 5,000 to 10,000. The momentum compounds once systems exist. You can now adopt behavior patterns wealthy people use, but that were impossible before. Dollar cost averaging in market downturns means buying more shares when prices are low, requiring cash available when everyone else panics. Buying appreciating assets like stocks, skills, and education instead of depreciating assets like cars and clothes requires buffer to think long-term. Delaying large purchases to negotiate better terms requires not being desperate to buy right now. Investing in quality over quantity requires upfront capital. These are exact strategies separating wealth builders from everyone else, and 5,000 is the threshold where you finally implement them. 5,000 isn't the destination. It's the launchpad making everything else achievable. The meta transformation. So here's the real magic of $5,000, and this is something you need to understand deeply. It's not about the money. The bank balance is just evidence of who you've become in the process of building it. $5,000 represents psychological liberation from constant background terror of financial vulnerability. You've proven to yourself that you can build something substantial from nothing, and that proof changes how you see yourself and what you believe you're capable of achieving. The compounding effects extend far beyond finances in ways that might be more valuable than the money itself. Career confidence leads to promotions and raises compounding your income. Relationship stability improves because you're not fighting about money constantly. Health outcomes improve because you can afford preventive care instead of waiting until problems become emergencies. Mental health improves as anxiety decreases measurably. The financial transformation creates total life transformation, and ripple effects touch everything. People who reach 5,000 rarely go back to 0, and here's why. You've changed your identity. You're not someone trying to save, you're someone who saves. That identity shift makes behaviors automatic instead of effortful. You've built systems running without constant willpower. Automation handles the hard part. You've experienced financial security, and once you've felt it, you can't unsee what life is like without constant fear. The person who saved 5,000 isn't the same person who started at 0, and that person doesn't make the same choices. But let me give you one warning. 5,000 can become dangerously comfortable. It feels like enough, especially compared to where you started. The temptation to relax discipline and enjoy progress is strong. This isn't the destination. This is the foundation. The hardest part is behind you. Going from 0 to 5,000 is genuinely difficult because you're building systems and identity and breaking old patterns. Going from 5,000 to 10,000 and beyond is easier because you're maintaining what you've already built. Remember when I said 5,000 rewires your brain? Here's how. You've gone from survival thinking to strategic thinking, from scarcity mindset to abundance mindset, from fear-based decisions to opportunity-based decisions. That rewiring is the real wealth. If you're working toward 5,000 right now, understand you're closer than you think. The transformation waiting is bigger than the number on your screen. If you're at 5,000, don't stop here. This is where it gets really interesting. If you're past 5,000, remember what this unlocked for you and use that to maintain momentum. The real change isn't in your bank account, it's in your brain, your behavior, and your future. 5,000 changes everything because it proves what you're capable of becoming.